It's where Mid-Coast Maine begins.
We like to call this the Golden Zone.
A former mill town, the mill remains, but the activity inside sure has changed.
99.5 WCME The Buzz.
Over the river that powered the mill, a really swinging bridge is still here.
Between us, I don't think we have enough heft.
At an historic airfield, the history is interactive.
This would make it rise, right? At the northern end of Casco Bay, a stunning new 90-acre public preserve. And 4 names and 4 decades later, this diner and its iconic jukebox still going.
It's the main streets and back roads of Brunswick, Maine. Next on Chronicle.
This is Chronicle on WCVB Channel 5.
It's a great community. I love all of the Rocky Coast for sure.
I think bottom line, there are more people here in this part of Maine who really want to be here.
We have ocean, we have river, we have a tremendous amount of open space.
Sitting at the northern edge of Maine's Chamberlain County with a population today of just over 17,000, Brunswick, Maine is deceptive in a way.
Maine's fabled Mid-Coast region begins here, but you won't see the ocean anywhere near the center of town. It does lap, though, at the town's southern edge, and the state's second largest river runs right through here. The truth is, while it may be out of sight on Main Street, water has been the defining element in Brunswick's history.
Oh, it's extremely significant. The Abenaki, who moved through here seasonally, they used the river. And so the land bordered by these 2 bodies of water is the geographic story here, really.
Larissa Vigue-Picard is executive director of Brunswick's Pejepskin History Center, which takes its name from the Abenaki term for the Androscoggin River, which white European settlers would later use to power the mills here.
Textiles were huge, but also sawmills and working with wood of all kinds along the river.
Mill town, paper town, Brunswick is also very much a college town.
Bowdoin College, Maine's oldest, was chartered in 1794 when Maine was still part of Massachusetts. One of its most famous alumni is today Brunswick's most beloved former resident, not to mention one of America's truest heroes.
Chamberlain is a renowned figure at Bowdoin, in Brunswick, in Maine, throughout New England. Even in the southern states, there is a lot of admiration for him.
Ironic, since Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain led one of the greatest Union victories of the Civil War. But first, there was Bowdoin.
So, Joshua Chamberlain's dormitory.
This is it. One communal bathroom, probably. You had to get your own coal.
Are there any stories of Chamberlain getting up to, campus hijinks?
It was kind of square, really. So he was probably kind of a prig among these students.
Nonetheless, Chamberlain became a popular professor at Bowdoin when the Civil War began in 1861. He was 33, married with a family, and under no compulsion to serve. But to Bowdoin's and his wife's surprise, he did.
He is one of these men who went from being a citizen with virtually no military experience to being an exceptional leader in the war itself.
Late in the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863 in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, out of ammunition, under attack, in order to defend a vital Union hilltop, Colonel Joshua Chamberlain had his 20th Maine Regiment fix bayonets and led them in a desperate downhill charge, making Little Round Top one of the most stirring and legendary victories in the entire war.
I think that's really the moment where Chamberlain's prodigious military talents just pop out. And they're going to stay with him, right?
After the war, Chamberlain would serve 4 terms as governor of Maine and 12 years as president of Bowdoin College.
If you were to put Chamberlain in today's environment, socially, politically,
it's hard to imagine Joshua Chamberlain flourishing today in the political climate. We have such a highly polarized debate. But we should remember how divisive politics was in his own day.
He certainly has captured the hearts and minds of a great many people, both in his lifetime and since, and still today.
The Pejepscot History Center also owns and maintains the Joshua L. Chamberlain Museum. Located next to the Bowdoin campus, it was Chamberlain's family home for 50 years and holds many of his personal artifacts. But its newest acquisition most underscores Joshua Chamberlain's enduring inspiration.
This is the actual sweatshirt.
In January 2023, U.S. Senators Jack Reed of Rhode Island and Angus King of Maine met in Kyiv with Ukrainian President Zelensky. King wore this sweatshirt, printed with a likeness of Chamberlain.
I think he wanted to introduce President Zelensky to this figure, to say, you know, this is what heroism looks like, and that's what it looks like in you too.
Maine's beloved and legendary native son, still inspiring in the town he called home.
Wow, and U.S. Senator Angus King is a perfect example. He's an independent, by the way, of how Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain has inspired people across this nation.
Yeah, King himself was born in Virginia, moved to Brunswick in 1969 to practice law, and he has called Chamberlain the greatest citizen that Maine has yet produced. And King still gives talks and lectures about what an incredible person he was.
Coming up, a chance too good to pass up.